Hello. Hey, hi Ruchir.
Hi, Vishal.
Hi, very good evening.
Good evening.
Good, good. Great. Thanks for joining a minute early.
No problem.
So you're based out of Bombay only, right, Ruchir?
Yes, you're based on Marol.
Yes,
Very
no
easy.
problem. Good, good. So we are at Koregaon.
Okay.
Okay. So great. Ruchir, thank you so much. Thanks for joining. So can I give a quick introduction?
Sure, sure. I mean, I don't have a lot of details around what you do or anything like that. I
Sure.
just found the cold email pitch interesting, and I did not even actually get to your website. So treat me like I'm starting from scratch.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, and we'll keep it very conversational, informal kind of scenario. So Ruchir, I run this company called Sales and Profit. So I'm the founder of the company. You can go through the website salesprofit.in. We are basically a B2B sales performance improvement company. And our only objective is to improve sales KPI, sales metrics for the organizations. And we are predominantly into three service lines. One is sales consulting, second is sales enablement, third is sales recruitment. So one thing is that whatever we do, we just remain laser focused on enterprise sales, especially the science of sales. Right. In sales consulting, Ruchir, we look at the overall sales organization. That means what kind of sales KPI carry, what kind of sales incentive structure, what kind of sales org structure, how sales teams alignment with other cross-functional teams. So anything and everything which could affect the final sales KPIs that we do as part of sales consulting. Sales enablement, Ruchir, this is where the sales training, content, coaching comes. So over a period of time, because we have remained laser focused, it's almost now 9 to 10 years. We have remained laser focused on this space, B2B complex selling. We have created our own multiple proprietary methodologies for the entire suspect to order journey, account management, managers coaching, multiple things, right? And these are all our copyrighted, content methodologies. And in sales recruitment, we help tech companies closer mid to senior sales talent positions. Yeah. So yeah, we are a very B2B sales focused company. And I've got my co-founder. He's based out of Bangalore. I'm based out of Mumbai. I lead consulting and enablement practice. He leads our sales recruitment practice. So this is just a small bit about myself, right? Uh, you want to give a quick introduction? However, I've gone through your website, everything. I mean, whatever.
Yeah. So I'll give you a quick introduction of my company, so you have some context, right?
So,
The holding company is called as NDX Financial Services Private Limited. Within this, we have two subsidiaries. One is Liquiloans, which is NDX P2P, and one is Liqui Bonds. Uh, so these are basically two companies. The Liquiloans company is basically a P2P NBFC
Mhm.
through which we do. We were basically the largest P2P lender in the country. At its peak, we had 5,500 crore of AUM, and the industry was at about 9,000 crore. Um, and with
Mhm.
Liqui Bond, we basically have a debt broking license, and on top of that, we have taken an OBBB license, and we are working as an online bond platform provider. Now, tying these two, both Liqui Loans and Liqui Bonds, is basically our distribution channel. So when it Liqui Loans also, we had worked extensively with independent fund advisors and mutual fund distributors, through which we sold the P2P product as an investment product, wherein we provided certain amount of returns to investors.
Right.
And we'd created a good brand name within the industry, and the fund advisors trusted us, and we were able to generate some good amount of returns and wealth creation, right, for investors.
Mhm.
When we decided to enter the bonds business, we felt that we wanted to further deepen our relationship with the fund advisors, and most fund advisors are currently effectively operating only in just one vertical, which is mutual funds.
Okay.
Only in one asset class, which is primarily mutual funds, and some of them were doing P2P, right? So, uh, while P2P is a retail debt product, bonds is more like a
Mhm.
corporate debt product, right? But um, uh, with the retailization of this asset class, with SEBI doing a lot of things around trying to bring about more retail participation, we feel that the distribution channel that we have already created with these fund advisors, we should be
Mhm.
able to tap into that existing distribution network and introduce bonds as an additional asset class, which they can include as a part of their asset allocation strategy through which investors can further invest in bonds.
Got it.
Um, it's been a year since we started this line of business, and to be quite frank, we started with so our primary focus is B2B, right? In that sense, and more like B2B2C in a way, right? Effectively, the end investor is the investor, but we go via the distribution channel. And for that, we have relationship managers. Initially, we had RMs who were doing P2P sales, and we tried to upskill them on bond sales, but that was seeming a little bit of a uphill task because P2P is a very different product and bonds are a very different
Agree.
product. It requires a lot of different fundamental training, knowledge, process, etc. that people need to come up the curve. And the way to sell bonds is also very, very different. As we understood that further, we invested a little bit on developing our own training programs, and we tried to upskill the team and rehashed our own processes. Um, Over the last 3 to 4 months, I think a lot of there is the overall organization and company is in a much better place in terms of how sales is happening and the initial traction that we are seeing from fund advisors.
Mhm.
Having said that, I believe that we've just scratched the surface and there is a lot that needs to be explored across the board in terms of everything that you mentioned, which is KRAs, KPI, sales processes, how should sales happen, and then the entire training around it, which is to do with what is the right way to pitch, what is a pitch, what is the right way to pitch, how to do B2B sales, how to do consultative sales, how to get investment into sales products. And then the third part is more around how to establish some sort of sales rigor, how to make each and every RM effective such that they are able to maximize their productivity output. So all those lenses are what we are working on. Like we've done quite a few things more, which are probably disjointed. They are not talking to each other, but it's kind of a work in progress, and we are building it on the go. I overall look at strategy and manage the entire P&L within the company.
Okay.
And I'm heavily involved in building AOPs and setting up PRS, KPIs, and all these things. So with that context, I just thought it would be good to explore and understand what is it that you guys do and how we can overall, create some sort of additional impact at the sales level.
Got it. I think this makes sense. Thanks, Rajiv. Rajiv, just from my understanding, when you say funds advisor, right? So, I mean, the expectation from your sales team is to onboard them, identify them, reach out to them, obviously warm them up, and eventually onboard them. Is that the expectation? Or also
No,
down the
not
line,
just onboarding. It is like onboarding, then
selling
further
also?
get them to, yeah. So empanelment is just a part of the process, right? It is more to do with. So let me put it this way, that fund advisors
Sure.
currently either do not understand bonds, or if they do not understand the fitment of where does it fit within the asset allocation of a particular investor, and hence they do not actively recommend NCDs to investors.
Mhm.
So it is the relationship manager's responsibility to help the fund advisor understand why bonds should be a part of the asset allocation, why bonds should be considered, get them to understand where is the bond fitment, and then help them to sell this to their investors, such that they
Got it.
become repeat transacting, because each fund advisor effectively has on an average 50 to 75 to 100 investors, right? So if activated correctly, every these advisors can effectively become a channel through which we can get, anywhere between 1 to 5 transactions every month, because every month a new investor can pump in fresh money, as long as he's
Hmm.
bought into the entire concept of bonds itself. So initially, the
Got it.
expectation
Got it. And
for the
these,
RM to become a hunter and acquire these IFAs, and then become more like a mining expert, where you deep mine these accounts and get them to a point where they kind of constantly keep on transacting on a repeat basis.
got it. Makes sense. And most of these conversations with the fund as advisor, Ruchir, happen in person or over call or over a virtual meeting?
So we have both teams. We have
Huh.
a in-person team as well, which we call as the RM team, and we have a virtual calling team as well, which is known as a VRM, virtual relationship managers.
Okay. So how big is the team? This B2B fund advisor
So
focused team?
the RM team is, we have about 15 to 18 RMs pan India, and the
Uh-huh.
VRM team is 5 employees.
And they are what assigned to different RMs or what? Like one VRM with for 2 to 3 RMs.
No, no. So they operate as independent spaces. So RMs are basically geographically located in the top 5, 4, 5 tier 1 cities, right? And
Okay,
then
okay,
all the leads within those cities are allocated to RMs. And then the VRMs are effectively doing outcalls and outreaches to the database, which is not where we do not have any physical RM presence. So the rest of India is basically
got
given
it,
to the
got it.
VRMs.
So it's a similar kind of profile. Only thing the approach changes and the territory changes. Both
Sorry,
teams
sorry,
still.
your voice was cracking.
No, no, I'm saying it's a similar kind of profile. Only thing one team does in person in the defined territory, whereas some other.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
Okay.
what happens is, because this is a low margin model, right? I'm effectively
Uh,
running an experiment with the VRM team to see if they can become a champion challenger to the RM team.
makes sense.
My long term hypothesis is that this business is a virtual touch point business. It's not a physical touch point business, because once a advisor understands how to invest in bonds and which bonds to pick, then
Yeah.
all he needs is, on a repeat basis, just the access to the inventory, as to which inventory do we have and which is the right bond, which
Hmm.
can be a physical meeting itself. There, no one needs to literally, sorry, a virtual meeting. No one needs to really meet them on a regular one-to-one basis every month, right? For the same thing. So, in a long-term steady state, I believe that is where we should be able to land, because it's a cost-effective and a more tightly controlled structure.
Makes sense.
But right now, I want to is that within P2P business, we always had a physical touch point model.
Right.
So our IFAs are kind of used to that model, and I also want to control a proper feedback loop and a control
Hmm.
mechanism in place where I can give them that additional layer of service. So while I've started with both teams, I want to test out the hypothesis whether the VRM we can sustain the business with just the VRM team, or I'm okay to run in a hybrid model as well. I mean, the thoughts are still evolving. I do not have a firm answer yet.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And what could be their targets, RMs and VRFs?
So they are expected to, what we call as activation. Activation is the first transaction.
Hmm.
They are expected to activate 5 to 6 new fund advisors every month,
When you
and
say that this
they
is
are
activation, right? The first transaction also.
first transaction. First
So
transaction with a
not
minimum
only.
ticket size of 2 lakh rupees.
Okay, okay. Sorry, you were saying something.
And the other large target is fund inflows from already activated IFAs, those who have been activated in the
Hmm.
previous month, which we call as transacting IFAs or monthly active IFAs, where we've basically set a number as depending on the RM journey. So the senior RMs, it is more like around 1.25 to 1.5 crore a month. And for the junior RMs, it is around 75 lakhs a month.
Okay.
Over
Got
and
it.
above, of course, I have all these funnels that I track. How many out calls, what is the call to meeting ratio, what is the meeting to onboarding ratio, what is the onboarding to activation ratio, what is the activation to monthly transacting ratio, which is basically the funnel which I keep on trying to optimize. But those are something that I track at a corporate level as well as at an RM level, but I do not drive my RMs or VRMs on that specifically. Once I know that someone is ahead or behind the curve, then we try to ascertain whether it's a training gap, an approach gap, etc., etc. And then we take calls accordingly in terms of what needs to be done.
Got it. Got it. So I'm just thinking, assuming if I'm an RM or a VRM, now one option is also 5 to 6 new activations, right? And second is also overall revenue I'm generating from my pool of FAs. Assuming I've got, let's say I'm hitting my overall revenue per month, but not acquiring this new FAs, new activations. Will it still be okay?
Not really, and I'll tell you why. What we are seeing currently is that on an average, one fund advisor does about 20-25 lakhs of volume monthly.
Okay.
These are average numbers, right? There will be
Huh.
one-off transaction that will go to 50 lakhs once a year, etc. But I'm
Hmm.
leaving those aside. Now, if you have, let's say, 5 or 6 monthly transacting IFAs and they are doing average business of 1.25 to 1.5 CR, um,
Hmm.
you will probably end up stagnating there. And if every month, matlab, if it's the same set of IFAs, it's not necessary that every month they'll do transactions. So I need
Okay.
each and every RM to be able to get to 25 monthly transacting IFAs, or
Hmm.
which translates into 60 to 70 ever active IFAs, activated at least once, because my activation to monthly
Hmm.
transacting ratio is about 25-30%.
Okay.
Sorry, not even 25-30%. It's currently at 20%. So I'm nudging them to get to an activation number of 70-80 such that they have like at least 20 transacting IFAs monthly, which
Hmm.
should effectively get them to contribute about 3 to 4 CR. Why 3 CR is
Okay.
because uh, I want the RMs to at least starting break even at their level
Hmm.
before I look at RMs breaking even at the company level. Right. So for an RM who is currently at an average salary of, let's say, 1 lakh,
Hmm.
and if the margin per trade is about 30-35 bips, my RM needs to at least do monthly 3 crore of sales, which he will not be able to get from 5 or 6 activations. मतलब एक आधा महीना उसने कर भी लिया, he'll not be able to keep on repeating that
Got it.
trick on a regular basis. So at least for the
Hmm.
next
Hmm.
6 months,
Got it.
basis
And
the business is, the RMs will be expected to do both. Then we will move into a structure where I don't need them to add more accounts. Then I just need them to keep mining those already added accounts.
what historically have you seen, Ruchir, in how many months or years they reach to their right, premium productivity level?
Yet to be ascertained, because P2P was a very different business, and the
Achha,
bonds
this is a
business
new one.
has, yeah, bonds business is, so P2P we had higher margins. So we were not too focused on, large activations, etc. We were in P2P, we were operating with close to 1.5 to 2% margin, whereas here the margin is only
Okay.
1/4 of that. So, and we are only in year one of the current business. So it is very
Achha.
difficult for me to say.
I understood. I understood. And what do you feel? How has been the overall target versus achievement? What do you feel? What is working? What is not working? Because these are like two different businesses completely.
So targets are actually currently being set. They are very far off from what the AOP had projected, but I am
Mhm.
just doing incremental target setting right now based on historical performance. So
Mhm.
initially, I had that thought process ki I have an AOP and I will set targets basis an ideal RM journey, but the reality is starkly different because of numerous nuances. कि business के process अभी setup नहीं है, streamline नहीं है, customer support and
Okay.
service is not that great, product proposition is not that strong, etc., etc. Dashboard is still like a work in progress. So the reality does not marry the AOP at least in year one, and so quite a few of my projections are off. So we kind of changed approach midway,
Mhm.
where we understood where each RM is, what is his potential, what is his capability currently, and how can we grow uh, that RM. So like some, if they are like better in acquiring new IFAs, I'm giving them more aggressive targets on acquisition. Some who are
Mhm.
better in mining, I'm giving them more targets on mining. So right now, target setting is a little more incremental approach to their previous performance. But I think in the next couple of months, I want to move them into a more idealistic version of target setting where I'm, let's say, categorizing them into
Mhm.
A, B, C type of category RMs and basis that have a certain expectation setting for each RM.
Okay, got it. Makes sense. Makes sense. And how has been the sales attrition, Ruchir? Considering anyway, it's a new launch.
Attrition was quite high in the first 6 months because we were in a
Uh-huh.
transition phase from P2P to bonds, and there was a lot of kind of gaps in understanding knowledge, and people found it hard, right? Bond sales was hard. Although the October onwards attrition is fairly controlled. By fairly controlled, I mean actually we've not had any attrition. We've let go of a person here and there for non-performance, but
Mhm.
it's more our reasons than the RMs
Yeah,
wanting to.
got it. Yeah, and to be honest, even the job market also became quite, quiet. People nowadays are not
Yeah,
looking
so
at.
normally you see also you end up seeing the May to October is the period when you see a lot of churn also because people are just shifting. Where it's the second half of the year when people are just not so actively looking for jobs.
Got it. Got it. So I think this one I understood. Now, I just wanted to check. Okay, let me now try to simplify sales, right? Especially B2B sales. Okay, just before that, Ruchir, any idea what could be the average sales cycle on an average? So, for example, it is typically a first call closure or it takes time.
No, no, first call closure is very rare.
Okay.
It takes anywhere between 2 to 6 approaches to be
To
able
six.
to close.
Okay.
Average
How
being
much?
average being three. I would say that three is like the average touch
Okay.
point that a
This
person
would
needs
mean
to
how
have.
many
And
months
uh,
approx?
again, the average is about 1.5 months.
Okay.
Some happen
Okay.
faster, some happen sooner, but 1.5 months would be more like an average.
And do we take any? I mean, I'm assuming you must be getting some contract document signed or something. Do we also take some money in advance by any chance, or it is
No,
always that first activation?
no, no. So activation is basically when the advisor gets his investor to invest money. So this is not
So
a fee-based model where he has to pay any subscription or anything. He gets a commission on every trade done.
that I understood. So, like for example, the way I've got my advisor, similar kind of thing, right? I mean, through which, let's say, as a family, we might be investing in mutual funds or some stocks, that kind of scenario, right? He could be one of that guy. So,
Correct,
how does the sales process work? So, somebody will reach out to FA, assuming he will convince, he will have certain objections. He say this is not my priority. Over a period of time, RMs are able to convince him. Once he says,
correct.
okay, fine. If now, whenever the next, I'll pick it up with my customer. FA says this. Then do we wait till that first activation happens, or we first get some documents signed, we onboard him, we upskill him, and then
So we do
we help
onboard
him.
him. Yeah, so we do onboard him. we also start sharing the inventory. But quite frankly, we've not put in any thought process around कि यार onboard हो गया, उसके बाद what will it take for him to activate,
Hmm.
or what will it take such that the first transaction happens with a guarantee. Now that's where what is happening is each RM, it comes down to the RM skills. कोई RM अगर follow up करके consultative sales करके guidance करके उसको समझा देता है अच्छे से, तो मतलब वो बिक जाता है. And then some who are not that pushy, some who do not have the next steps clearly aligned, they end up taking a large lot of time to be able to activate. So it is kind of more like, I would say, it's a miss at an HO or a corporate level where we have not defined the playbook of
Uh-huh.
what is the GTM, so to say, right, for an IFA to start the first transaction or to keep getting repeat transactions in a way. While we have given some snippets of nuances कि ये कर सकते हो, ये कर सकते हो, ये कर सकते हो, but it's not like a clearly defined playbook right now, at least as we speak.
And I think we are too early also, Ruchir, to be honest. I think we are in that first year, right? So
Yeah,
currently,
so we actually, the thing is for me to create a GTM, I need to have
uh,
a lot of data insights.
I understand.
Like it cannot be one plain vanilla approach है कि आईएफए के पास जाके ये 10 चीज बोलोगे तो
Okay, it can
करेगा
otherwise
तो बंदा आ
backfire
जाएगा.
also.
Each fund advisor is different. There are different types of fund advisors. They have their own set of preferences, etc. So once we get a little more understanding of that advisor playbook of how they operate, what do they do, what are their preferences, then I'll be able to create a much better, let's say, even at a high level, a generic GTM, but at a customization level, each independent IFA can have its own GTM. While I know that it is
Absolutely.
one of the need of the hour, because we don't have this, my onboarding to activation ratio is bad. If I do
How
this,
much
at
it
least
is?
ratio will improve. Uh, my onboarding to activation ratio currently sits at around 30%. I know that
Easy.
I should easily be able to get to 50% just by having a simple playbook.
Hmm.
Then we can get into further layer of customizations later. But right now, though, it's a basic simple miss.
Yeah, to be honest, see, we have had a lot of customers come out with the playbooks, right? A different scenario. But if somebody asks me, I would always say, कि playbook, let the business stabilize initially. Otherwise, you will have to come out with multiple variants of playbook. Personally, I feel at this stage, no, Ruchir, you would have already thought through. Uh, if somebody asks you, okay, who's your IFA, ideal financial advisor? If that we by any chance create this, and if we keep updating it every 3 months or 6 months, I think that would be a good exercise. And then after probably 1 year, playbook exercise can start because by that time you will have a lot of data. So, any
Okay.
thoughts, Ruchir, who is our ideal financial advisor?
I'll have to put some thought around it. I mean, I would rather, if there is some sort of framework I have, then I would be able to, like, some leading questions, then I'd be able
Hmm.
to answer that.
No problem.
Uh,
So, see, it is like this, right? Typically, for example, in a B2B scenario, and sales guys are normally, we need to keep it very simplified for them, right? Either we give them the database, it is the database. Or if we also expect, is there a separate marketing team which churn out data and give it to RMs?
We
Okay,
have a
so how is
marketing
it?
team right now, but as we speak, we've not had the need for marketing team to start firing more leads because there is enough and ample historical lead data that we have from our P2P universe, which we are
Okay.
just returning because every P2P IFA needs to effectively get re-onboarded, and matlab, just because he was doing P2P does not necessarily mean that he'll be doing bonds, right? They are two different asset classes, two different products altogether.
Correct.
It'll just probably get us that meeting to be able to have a conversation with him. So the team is
Mhm.
still currently working. I mean, it's a tomorrow problem, let's say 3 months down the line. It's not a today problem for me. But definitely, matlab, at my level, it's a today problem because I am constantly trying to work 3 months out. So I need to have my marketing team up and running to be able to start, generating leads and warm leads such that the team has it. But the team is currently not in a scenario where they do not have leads.
Okay, so they have leads, right?
Yeah.
The RMs have leads. Okay, fine. And again, just from my understanding, what could be a scheduled meeting or a scheduled call to onboarding ratio? Any idea? Approx.
Yeah, so meeting to onboarding ratio is about 30% right now.
Acha, which is
And
not bad, right?
onboarding to activation ratio is, no, meeting to
That is,
onboarding ratio is even worse.
because 30 is a
Meeting
good
to
number
onboarding
actually.
ratio is 20%, onboarding to activation must be at 30%.
Okay, okay, got it. And ये सब डेटा इन लोग हम लोग क्या सेल्स सीआरएम में कहीं कैप्चर करते हैं?
Yeah, we have lead squared.
Okay. मतलब my learning and Ruchir, please correct me अगर sales CRM is saying 20% now, so actual number would be much lesser than 20% because sales guys don't capture everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is I've been a sales guy throughout, I'm just telling you from the experience.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this one I understood. So
Sorry, just give
now,
me a minute. I'm getting an urgent
sure,
call. I just need to pick
sure,
this.
sure, sure, please. Okay.
Yes, hi,
So,
sorry.
hi, no problem. Ruchir, generally wanted to check, by any chance, have you prepared a list of, must crack FAs? Like you got my question, right?
Sorry, a list of?
Must crack financial advisors. See, there is always that 80-20 principle, right?
Yeah.
20% financial advisors, which might be doing overall 80% business.
Yes.
So, do they have by any chance that kind of list? Out of my 100 uncracked FAs, this 20 I need to crack because they are the ones who
Um,
make the maximum business.
so yes, we have a list. Um, but you know what happens is that our must crack accounts are the ones who have done a large business, and they have probably also they are already doing some version of business in bonds because they
Huh.
are relatively larger accounts. So they will have slightly more specific expectations from us. They would want us to
Hmm.
meet them in terms of, let's say, inventory availability or specific inventory, or they will want us to meet certain specific pricing, which they are already getting from the market.
Hmm.
Um, so while it is a must crack for us from a overall business and relationship
It may not
standpoint,
be an ideal for us.
we may not be ready
I
to
got
be able
it.
to service the requirements today. We are,
Got it.
matlab,
Got it.
we will be able to match one or two here and there, right? But मतलब structurally अगर आप बोलो कि हाँ मेरा फॉर्मूला क्रैक हो गया है कि ये मस्ट क्रैक को ऐसे अप्रोच करना है,
समझा.
वो फॉर्मूला नहीं है अभी मेरे पास.
तो मेरे हिसाब से ना रुचि जब भी हम लोग एक आइडियल फाइनेंशियल एडवाइजर जब भी बनाए राइट सो फॉर एग्जांपल व्हेन वी वर्क विद अदर कस्टमर्स राइट एट टाइम्स वी हेल्प देम डिफाइन द आइडियल कस्टमर प्रोफाइल एट टाइम्स वी हेल्प organizations define who's their ideal channel partner profile. And in your case, for example, who's my ideal financial advisor profile in terms of territory, in terms of vertical, also in terms of firmographics, also minimum size, maximum size. As you rightly said, right? Maximum size के ऊपर perhaps at this time we may not have maturity because we are a growing practice, and below certain we may not like to work. You may not like to work with any financial advisor, right? Because other itself is
Anyone,
not
let's say
right.
anyone who's managing less than 30 crore of AUM is not a right advisor for me because अगर वो 30 करोड़ का ही AUM मैनेज कर रहा है तो उसके लिए
Correct.
10% or 5% allocation into bonds is, let's say, just 1.5 crore. 1.5 crore is not a lot of money for me at a scale level. So for me, anyone less
Got it.
than 30 crore AUM is like automatic filtration criteria.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And I'm assuming our RMs would know this, right? Hello.
Yes.
Ruchir, I'm assuming our RMs would know this, right, today?
Yes, they know this, but sales team being sales team, they are looking at it, हाँ मेरा एक activation हो गया. The
Okay.
quality of activation is sometimes मतलब I'm not saying it's a pertinent problem, but वो है कि उसमें थोड़ा fuzzy data आ जाता है कि they look at कि हाँ मेरा target है मुझे इतना activate करना है, तो एक दो ऐसे भी activate accounts हो गए तो भी क्या ही फर्क पड़ता
So, उनका target you mentioned there were two targets. One is activation target and second is actual revenue target,
है.
right?
Yes.
But you
So
also
volume of sales, volume, I'm not actually have not yet migrated to revenue also. I'm just looking at मतलब basically transaction amount की bond का volume का quantum कितना है.
volume of sales,
Next year,
right?
I
So in
want
a
to move
way,
into a P&L structure where it will be revenue and cost both, so that they will start being able to let's say, for example, they do a lot of trades on a high margin paper, then they will have a better revenue and they'll be able to optimize their cost better, so on and so forth, right? So probably by next year, I mean next financial year. So in the next couple of months, I want to move into a P&L structure for each RM. But right now, we are just operating on basic targets that we
I
provide
got it.
extra.
But I'm also thinking, now I'm thinking like a sales guy, assuming, मेरा onboarding से activation, which is around 30%. और मैं onboarding के बाद शांत हो जाता हूँ और I start focusing on other uncracked FAs. So is it something कि मेरा target is predominantly on onboarding or my incentive is predominantly on onboarding or my reporting is predominantly on onboarding?
नहीं नहीं, so we don't We don't ask them on onboarding at all. We only ask them on activations and we ask them on volumes. And they are the targets and the incentive structure are both kind of independent. कि activation का number इतना कर लिया तो इतना पैसा मिलेगा and volume का number इतना कर लिया तो इतना पैसा मिलेगा आपको.
ठीक है. Got it. So now, ठीक है, I think this one I got it. Now, Ruchir, tell me, okay, so whenever there is an important meeting, right? When you know, okay, fine, you already have spent, let's say, 2, 3 meetings. Now it is an important meeting, or this guy is important, he is fitting into our ideal FA profile also. Currently, how is our team preparing for that conversation?
Uh, Why we've given them a certain approach. So one is like this is what you should be doing in the meeting, and before that you need to think of the agenda, and before that go on their LinkedIn profile. Like if it's a P2B IFA, right? Research about
हाँ.
them internally कि उसने कितना AUM किया था, क्या टाइप का इन्वेस्टमेंट्स किया था, कितने इन्वेस्टर्स ने इन्वेस्टमेंट किया था, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. Also, because these are fund advisors, most of them will have some sort of digital presence.
Hmm.
LinkedIn होगा, website होगा, etc. Research about them, see what they've done recently, what are they posting on, what are their areas of interest, etc. And then have like a mental model or a map in place. Ki, okay, this is what you should be touching upon in the meeting. The meeting should flow in this direction. These are the points that I need to cover. So I've given them a training multiple times on this direction. To be quite frank, I don't think so. It's happening with that intent. While one is intent कि ये करना
Got it.
चाहिए, but the execution में वो break हो जाता है
Hmm.
क्योंकि people don't do that level of research or they are not that adept enough to be able to read कि okay, this is something that I should touch upon, or this is something that is worth talking about, and just picking up a thread. So what I effectively tell my sales guys is कि यार in your first meeting it is very, very important for you to have some sort of commonality or some common talking point.
Hmm.
Like, today you started the meeting, you started ki, where are you based out of, right? Okay, I'm based out
Yeah.
of Andheri, you are based out of Goregaon, and there is some talking common point because we are both based out of Mumbai. So
Agreed.
एक point से starting point शुरू हुआ. Similarly, what is that starting point? Such that the conversation starts flowing because the person on the other side
Hmm.
is just judging you in the first 5 minutes. Should I even give 30 minutes to this guy or not,
Agreed.
right?
True.
So while we've given them this kind of conceptual knowledge and training कि हाँ ये करना चाहिए, but वो intent to execution में I'm still not confident if everyone is doing it correctly.
And I understand RMs are all in-person meetings, but those VRMs, have you by any chance gone through? Do we record those meetings?
Yeah, we have call recordings.
Okay, and by any chance, have we got any clue that what they are doing right, what they are doing it wrong?
One thing is that sitting in HO because they are not traveling that much, their just overall sales rigor is better. They have a better tracking monitoring in place कि ये time पे call करना है तो call हो जाता है. So at least they are able to reach out to the IFAs in a much better manner. Second is because they are again here in HO, so training them is easier, giving them point in time
Hmm.
feedback is easier. I have more like access to what they are doing on a real time basis and giving them direct feedback at that point in time works much
Agreed.
faster, much easier. And thirdly, in case they have any problems or challenges, the problems also get solved much faster. So the on-the-job learning uh, path is relatively shorter because of which they are able to come up the curve faster because they just have access to a lot of people right, over here, right? मेरा पूरा backend team और सब लोग यहाँ पे है. Sometimes some sales leadership or someone is over here. So I think that is what is working for them, right? Just access to the entire central team gives them um, I'm able to basically my VRMs are relative freshers in sales, but because they just have access to HO more, they are able to get concept clarity better. Although again, even with VRMs, I've not been able to establish success at scale. I have like a 5-member team, two have attrited, so relatively two new guys, three old guys. Three old guys,
Hmm.
में से two are performing, one is not performing. So the sample set is too narrow for me to be able to say that yes, this is something that I can say for sure that will work at scale.
Makes sense. Yeah, Ruchir, and to be honest, now we've been working with sales guys, right, since last quite a few years. I realized one thing: anybody who has got more than 10, 15 sales guys overall, you can actually plot them on bell curve. Okay, you will always have that 10%, 10 to 12% of sales guys who are like the right side of the bell curve. They are like your superstar sales guys. वो स्कूल के वो बच्चे थे जो अगर टीचर ना आए तो भी अच्छे मार्क्स लेके आते थे. So they are, self motivated. And then left side of the bell curve, you will have 20 to 25% who are like a consistent underperformer. You give them whatsoever coaching, anything. Eventually, their performance will remain like that. There are always some exceptions. And the bulk of the crowd, 60 to 70%, is inside the bell curve. And over a period of time, what we learned that our focus should be that middle of that bell curve. Because the right side of the bell curve are anyway doing a lot of things right. And the left side of the bell curve, no point spending too much time on them. The 60 to 70%, if we could bring them, even to push them to the 10% on the right side, there's a big impact to the overall organization KPIs. Yeah. Can I share one slide to you, Ruchir? Would that be okay? Yeah? Feel free to stop me anytime. Huh? Just one second. And okay, are you able to see my screen? You're able to see, right? Because I have stopped seeing your video.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, okay. So, sorry. So, this is what we are all about. This we already spoken. We are a very focused B2B sales performance improvement company. These are the three service line what we spoke. Some of the customers, obviously, I mean, the list is quite big lately. Okay. I will come to this slide later, Ruchir, if time permits, or in our subsequent this thing. I call this as a business of sales slide. Eventually, all elements contribute to the final sales. Sorry, what's the word? Final sales KPIs. I don't know what wrong. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so let me come to this slide. Are you able to see sales process intervention?
Yes.
This is how typical B2B sales will work, right? Suspect to prospect or suspect to conversation, conversation to requirement, requirement to qualified opportunity, proposal, negotiation, order, and then account management, right? So in your case, it is typically suspect to onboarding, onboarding to activation, and activation to mining, right? This is how it is happening. Now, over a period of time, we realize this is how it works, okay? And we don't need to go through overall things, but because day in and day out we work, we realize that great sales organizations, this is how they do it, okay? For example, this is the ideal customer profile. So in your case, it becomes who's my ideal financial advisor profile. And they make it very simple for the frontline sales, marketing, inside sales people. But very explicit. It's a written document so that everybody knows कि it is like कि मुझे क्रिकेट parlance में कौन सा बॉल छोड़ना है कौन सा में करना है राइट कि करना क्या है किसको रीच आउट करना है right so that is the ideal customer profile. Now what do you see? The average hardworking sales guy is in a hurry to give proposal, whereas smart sales guy always qualifies. He does not get excited with any conversation. So the great sales organizations eventually, institutionalize qualification as a process, as a culture. Now, यहाँ पे then it is कि once, for example, in your case, financial advisor is qualified in. Now the intention is to win that, win him over. Okay, this is where the entire opportunity management comes. Once the suspect is converted to prospect, prospect is converted to order. Now it is all about account management. This is where the entire farming, mining, everything happens. This is the strategic account. This is the key account. These are like a top 5% customers. These are like a remaining 15% customers. So we have not reached to that level in your case, Ruchir. But whenever, let's say after a couple of years, right, you may like to segregate all the financial advisors also. Okay, which are your biggest of financial advisors and which are your remaining key financial advisors and which are the remaining this thing. So this will become your top 20% of the financial advisors. Now, this is the typical elevator pitch. This is a very high-end skill, which very few sales guys develop, but this is a trainable skill. इसमें क्या होता है? The customer might have a pain, you might have a solution, but the customer has other priorities in life. I'll repeat. Customer has a pain, you might have a solution, but customer says it's okay, I can live with this pain. I've got other priorities in life. And this is where great sales guys know how to create customer urgency without pitching the solution. Because by any chance, if they pitch the solution, the customer will object because the pain has still not reached to a requirement stage. Right? This is the entire outreach competency, calling outreach competency, email outreach competencies, right? LinkedIn outreach competencies. Now, this part, which I've seen most sales leaders, right? They want their team to have consultative selling with their customers, insightful selling, like a deeper conversation. And this is the output. What we realized over a period of time to reach to this output, meeting preparation has to be institutionalized. Once meeting preparation as a culture gets institutionalized, job middle 60% है ना, then this suddenly get pushed to the right side. And this has to be like a process, institutionalized, right? It should be the DNA of the company. Whereas your top one or two sales guys, they are like a Virat Kohli. वो भले ही coaching ना करे, कुछ ना करे, net practice ना करे, then also they will do well. But that's not the entire sales team. Now, this part, I don't, sorry, sorry. This part, I don't think, Ruchir, आपके केस में इतना importance है. This is typically for those customers who have got a pretty longer sales cycle, like more than 3 months, 6 months. Then this becomes a very, very important but very neglected competency. I don't think आपके केस में ये इतना मैटर कर रहा है आज की डेट में. Then this, in your case, this is very important. The entire objection handling piece. Okay, how the sales guys are managing FA's those objections in a very, very customer centric manner, right? Then how to probe in a very customer centric manner. The probing should be such that customer should feel that these are all right questions and he's thinking from my point of view, right? And then uncovering that and then only influencing him, provided in a very, very ethical manner, right? I'll just take a pause here. Ruchir. Any questions?
I'm with you. I am also like absorbing everything, so I'm just looking at it, but I'm with you till now.
Yeah. Also, what I've seen this part, which is I've seen the average hardworking sales guys always ask support on pricing, whereas great sales guys they do the selling well, whereas average hardworking sales guys they don't do the selling well, and that's why they keep asking for a price discount. Whereas good sales guys they do this part well, so they don't need much support on the negotiation because their customers want to buy from them, whereas the average
Correct.
hardworking seller they want to sell, right? So there's a big difference.
It comes down to value selling. How effective are they
Yes.
in terms of selling the value?
Now the value selling part now, which comes here, right? If you see the entire overall conversation, even in the post-order conversion account management, sales guys are continuously having a conversation with their customers. Again, I'm saying value selling, what I've learned, and in last few years is the outcome. But if once this gets institutionalized, a lot of things will start happening. Right? कि how we are, for example, value selling के लिए the sales guy should know, right, whom they are meeting, what could be their motivators, right, what could be the win for them, right, what kind of customers they are having, right, how can I generate win for their customers also, because then only, provided he has captured everything, he has also captured okay, I don't know this 1 2 3 4 things as part of the meeting preparation, then he will come out with the right probing questions. Okay, during my conversation, I need to uncover all this information. Based on information uncovered, then he will create a return on investment for the financial advisor and for the financial advisor's customers also as part of his meeting preparation. And this is where he'll be able to influence in a true win-win manner. First win for his financial advisor and then win for him also and for his company. Yeah, so I'll just take again, a pause here. I just thought, obviously, I mean, I can go on and on because we cover a whole gamut of this thing. Okay. Uh, is my screen still visible?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay. One second. Yeah. So, Ruchir, okay, now it all depends on what you're looking at. See, for example, we can always help you create a very structured approach to the entire B2B, the entire sales team. That means when they are going, what should be the elevator pitch in a very scientific, structured manner and an executable manner, which will stick also, which will be executable. Then how to prepare for meeting in a very sales-friendly manner and a customer-friendly manner. And because we believe that after every conversation, sales guys' credibility, so our RM's credibility, VRM's credibility should increase in the FA's mind after every conversation, even if it's a lost case. Because even if it's a lost case, now imagine the FA feels कि नहीं यार ये company अच्छी लग रही है, the guy was good.
Yeah.
And FA will talk about this company and about him to two or three other contacts. So we believe that meeting preparation should be such that with every conversation, the credibility should keep increasing, right? So we can obviously help you have a very structured approach. And down the line, once that is defined, everything, okay, then we can also help you with the entire technology support. So that means all your, at least the VRM meetings, right, which are happening virtually. We can first define that these are all the elevator pitch. This is how the objection handling needs to be managed. This is how the, let's say, FA qualification needs to be managed. These are the questions. And then the system can manage. After every conversation, the system can tell the VRM, okay, this is where they deviated. And the system can act as a coach also, like a loop. Okay, okay, this is how where they manage the customer asked this objection, they could have done it like this. And it will also get integrated with your leads per CRM. So that VRM data, everything that entire transcript will get added to the leads per CRM also. So that there's a retention as well. But that
Okay.
I would suggest you should do it somewhere in phase two. Okay, once the entire structured part is done. But I'll take a pause here. Might have some questions.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, Vishal, maybe it might make sense that, for you to just come over to our office and give me a detailed presentation, what you showed me in one slide, maybe a detailed presentation of what all can you bring to the table, right? What all is it that you guys can do with a little bit of context of whatever, our discussion is. Um, and help me understand the gamut of services and what all can you do, right, within the entire sales process. That will give me just a very high, that will be a very good roadmap. Okay, these are the things that are definitely required, and then we can see whether there is a larger scope or there are carve outs ki yaar, these are, let's say for example, elevator pitch is a burning problem hypothetically. Then let's say I'll carve out just these specific things that need to be focused on, or maybe it's the entire end to end scope that is something where you and your team can help us out with.
Makes sense.
I will need a little more detailed understanding of everything that you can do. Like I have a broad level approach, but I would want to go deeper to kind of get the entire understanding of what all can you do and how you kind of do it, right? What is the thought process? What is the
Sure.
approach? And then it'll kind of help me better understand where all do I need external help than something where I'm already working on internally.
Makes sense. I think sounds good. And Ruchi, see, personally, I feel now I'm very passionate about enterprise sales, right? About the entire B2B sales, but I also believe that we need to keep it simple for sales guys. So I believe in
Correct.
80/20 principle, okay, which are those 20% competencies, 20% areas, which make 80% impact.
Yeah.
So we just need to diagnose and identify those 20% areas and just implement those 20% areas really well so that 80% impact will be taken care. And just forget about the
Okay.
remaining 20% things because that is not going to happen. That's an utopian world.
Right.
Because no point, boiling the entire ocean.
Makes sense.
Because
Absolutely. I mean, even if we get the 80% right, I think that is a good enough win for us.
Yes,
Because of 20% में तो बहुत सारे nuances and मतलब then it's more like long tail, so you will have customizations and nuances, etc., etc. I
absolutely,
want to
absolutely.
solve for the 80%. So I'm aligned with you in the thought process. I think one thing just to be on the just to kind of tell you is I'm liking the approach that you are taking, right? It's more or less a very similar thought process or approach that we have internally. But it also tells me, like just looking at one slide, it also tells me that there are few things that we might have missed out on, right? Because we are
Yeah,
building
there's a
it
lot
first.
of yeah,
We build it a lot from first principles or from our own biases or from our own knowledge. But when someone with a consulting background or experience comes in, you have a lot more structured approach towards holistically solving for a specific problem statement rather than looking at it in bits and parts. And there could be several blind spots that we might just have missed out on. And hence, I wanted to do a little bit more deeper dive to understand everything that you can bring to the table. And that's where then, because we want to, like, at the heart of it, we are a startup, right? We want to move quite
okay.
fast. And if there is some one who can come in and help us solve for this problem at scale with speed, then it kind of fits within our DNA.
Hey, Ruchi, we work with multiple customers, right? And the way you have remained focused on like entire, fintech segment, we have remained focused on the space. And over a period of time, we kept, capturing how the great sales guys, how they prepare, how they manage customer engagement, difficult conversation. And we have, converted everything into multiple frameworks, capsules, everything so that everybody remembers, everybody is able to execute. Because problem the बहुत बार I've seen the sales guys now, because I've been a sales guy, I know how they think. A lot of time they feel कि नहीं यार ये मेरे वर्ड में ऐसा नहीं होता है. Or this guys, they are talking from HO, my territory is different, my customer is different, but
ये
suddenly
लोग एचओ में बैठे हैं, इनको क्या पता है कि क्लाइंट कैसे
हाँ,
मैनेज किया जाता है, रिलेशंस कैसे
exactly talk AC room में बैठ के ज्ञान देना easy है. Okay, because I was part of the circle team, corporate team, we know, right? But once they know okay, the all these guys who are not, they're like a sales practitioners, they've done all this stuff. And
या
we also request Ruchi, whenever we start now, we do a market visit.
ओके
Market visit with sales guys so they also understand because there's a then a real life learning also. So then there is a real life empathy also. And then we convert everything into very customized case studies. But we'll speak when we'll meet now, I'll talk, I'll tell you.
राइट
Yeah.
No,
Hello.
I agree with you. You will need to do matlab, that is required for getting a better understanding of the market and what is required from the market itself.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense.
So,
Rahul,
how about let's say this week itself, sometime on Thursday or Friday, if you have availability in the second half?
one second. I think Thursday should be okay. Friday I'm occupied. Just one second.
Perfect.
एक minute. Thursday is 18.
मतलब सोचो ऑफर देने के बाद Thursday, let's say around 4 p.m. or something.
Thursday second half is okay. 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 I've
Perfect.
got a 5:30 call. Can we then do it?
I can do it earlier also if you want to do it slightly earlier.
नहीं मैं इसलिए सोच रहा हूँ मेरा ना एक 11 बजे का क्लाइंट कॉल है. Can we do it? Let's say around 3 o'clock. Will that be
Yeah,
okay? Huh?
works.
Take it. 3 o'clock. And Ruchit, would you mind sharing your office address? Or if it is there
I
online,
will just I will just email it to you
Huh.
on the same email chain. I'll just email it to you.
Yeah, please, please. And Thursday 3 p.m. Sounds good. Which building of Moro?
So we are very close to Marol Naka metro station, like
Acha, the
a
metro is better.
5 minute walk from Marol Naka.
Okay, okay.
I'll
So
send you the Google Maps link. You can have a look and then you can decide how to come.
no problem. And normally parking will I get? That's a
Parking,
concern.
yeah, we should be able to arrange parking.
No problem. Take it.
ठीक है.
Sounds good. Ruchit.
I'll revert on that email and then over there, maybe you can just give me your mobile number so I'll connect with you on WhatsApp as well.
Sure, sure. It is 99872.
99872. Hello.
01166.
Zero
99872
double one.
01166.
Okay.
66.
I will just leave you a message on WhatsApp.
Sounds good, Ruchir. Yeah, and Thursday, 3 o'clock. Looking forward.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you
Thanks.
so much. Appreciate your time.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a nice evening. Bye-bye. Take care.
Yeah.